You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 58.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
So welcome to our dear podcast listeners. How are you doing today, Marchelle?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. So before I get into today's topic, I have a favor to ask for any of our listeners who haven't already done this. If you're getting benefit from this podcast, would you please go to iTunes and rate and review the podcast for us? This will help more people find the podcast and all of this valuable information that we're putting out. So make a mental note to go out and do that as soon as you're done listening. Or even better, you could just pause what you're doing right now and go do a review right now and then come back and listen. That would work too. And I just want to say thank you in advance for your honest reviews of our podcast. Okay, so today I want to talk about being uncomfortable. Not just being uncomfortable, but being uncomfortable on purpose. But we're working on this a lot in the Empowered Weight Loss membership. So, question is, why would you do this? Why would you ever want to allow yourself to feel uncomfortable on purpose?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Well, I'm going to give you the short answer, and then I'm going to explain what I mean. The short answer is, if you don't allow yourself to feel all of your emotions, whether they're good or bad, you'll never know yourself. And you'll never be able to love yourself. And you're going to miss out on half of your life. Because in order to feel good, you have to feel bad sometimes. Otherwise, it's about the contrast. You have to feel the difference, right? So, and the other important thing is, unless you allow yourself to feel uncomfortable on purpose, you're never going to be able to keep the weight off. You'll be always buffering, which is what we call it when you use food or alcohol or any
Shopping.
other, shopping or gambling or, I don't know what else, Facebooking, people pleasing.
Anything. Yeah. I actually had a little experience like that this last week. So, trying to really be careful about, what I ate and, pre-planning and then also, like I said, doing some, therapy right now. Well, after work last week, out of nowhere, I get off work and kind of mindlessly, I end up at like these 3 different stores and I start buying stuff that I don't need just to buy stuff. And I spent a few $100s and I came home like with all this stuff that I didn't really need. And remember, I was talking to you about it like the next day because I'm like, why did I do that? Well, just another way of buffering feelings. It's just didn't have to do with food. So you got to be kind of careful about this, the buffering because it can come in a lot of different forms. So
it can. And that's because you were conscientiously trying to make sure that you weren't eating. And so your brain came up with another buffer. Right. Yeah, my brain it tricked me. I know. Darn your brain. Oh, shoot. So it is true, unless we really learn how to allow ourselves to feel negative emotion on purpose, we are going to end up buffering in whatever way we end up buffering in order to not feel our negative emotions. So we've been working with people in our membership, teaching them how to use urge jars and how to stop eating and feel their emotions. We did a podcast about managing urges a few months ago, so you can go back to that one.
Yes.
Yeah. It can be really, really uncomfortable if you're used to grabbing a handful of chips every time you feel bored or restless. For me, it's nuts because I wouldn't be caught dead with chips, but I do eat lots of nuts. So, and it's uncomfortable to just sit there with that uncomfortable emotion on purpose. It doesn't feel good at all.
No, it doesn't.
And it's actually doubly painful because instead of getting that hit of pleasure from the food and avoiding the negative emotion. You're not getting any pleasure at all, and you're feeling the negative emotion. So it's like a double whammy on you. And folks, this is why weight loss is so hard, because our brains are programmed through evolution to seek pleasure and avoid pain at all costs. This is the way our brains evolved. This is how we survived. So figure out what's going to give pleasure, do more of that, and avoid anything that's painful, and you'll survive. And so your brain is programmed to not feel negative emotion on purpose.
Yes. So like one thing with me is, I feel, and I know that a lot of people, everybody's been through stuff, we've all been through shit. We've had shit childhoods or bad experiences, or losses of, family, whatever, friend, all the things that we've been through. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, for instance, some of those emotions or some of the traumas that I had as a child were so traumatic and they were so painful that then I spent most of my life, even up until just recently, trying to avoid any kind of emotions because I relate any kind of emotions to the most painful emotion.
Oh,
it doesn't seem like there's like, okay, that's like you can get through that because it's, it's not going to be so bad. For me, it's like anything feels like it's going to be just as bad as the worst thing that I've ever felt. So I've spent a whole long time in my life trying to stuff things down or not feel things because it's scary.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel things like that. And so, and a lot of us, choose food because it's there, it's legal.
Yeah.
It's easy to get.
Mm-hmm.
You get, the little dopamine. It doesn't last very long, but that's why we keep going back, for, more ice cream the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But, so.
Or more that night.
Right. Right. So it's like, you keep going back when you use food as a buffer, then, it doesn't last for very long. So, you keep going and it just snowballs out of control. But, I have feeling uncomfortable emotions it's a hard thing. It's a hard
really
thing to face, especially if we have some traumatic experiences, early on in our lives that they're there, even though we've stuffed them down, like doesn't mean that they're completely forgotten. So along with trying to make better food choices, then you're also saying, and also you have to feel your feelings. That's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're asking us to do hard things.
I am.
And we did another podcast about that.
I'm asking you to do hard things. It's
These
true.
Are really hard things, yes.
You have to go completely against your brain's conditioning.
Right.
And not seek something pleasurable and be willing to feel some pain. And if there is a past history of trauma, your brain may well have this tendency to think, oh my God, any negative emotion is going to be that bad. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that if you can just take it little by little, it's probably not going to be as hard as you think it's going to be. It's certainly not as hard as living in a body that's hard to carry around and that hurts all the time and that has no energy. That's hard.
That is hard.
That is really hard. So don't
None
underestimate.
of us do that on purpose. Nobody ever does that on purpose. Nobody ever gets there on purpose. It's just this other thing that's going on that is repressed, that you don't want to feel or you don't want to deal with or whatever it is, stress from work. And then all of a sudden you find yourself, in a place where you're 250 pounds and your knees hurt all the time and you feel like crap and your mind is foggy and you don't really know how you got there.
Yeah. And that's hard. So you could look upon it as trading one form of discomfort for another form of discomfort that's actually going to serve you.
Definitely. Yes.
And make your life so much better in the long haul, right? I'm going to give you some examples of how being willing to feel discomfort on purpose can really serve you. Okay. So you ready? So let's say, and I know you have this issue, but many, many people have this issue. Let's say there's someone in your life who's frequently trying to feed you. They seem to take pleasure in baking for you, bringing treats over to your house. They want to see you enjoying their treats that they work so hard to prepare for you. And you always oblige them and then regret it later because their treats set off your sugar flour monster, and they really make life hard for you. And we talked about this a little bit just before the holidays, because what's really happened is that you've trained them that this is what makes you happy, and they really just want to see you happy. I mean, you could have trained them that scented candles make you happy, and they'd be bringing you scented candles instead of homemade treats. So let's say you recognize this, and you're willing to be a mature person, and instead of blaming them for being a food pusher, you're willing to recognize that you trained them. But it's time. It's time for you.
When you're a child, who's going to turn down a cookie that Grandma Elda made for you? Nobody.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But,
so it's yes.
But we have to retrain Grandma Elda.
Right.
So it's time to have a talk with Grandma Elda and explain. You don't want to accept any more home-baked treats from them. And you're going to explain your rationale and your reasons, but you're going to feel really, really uncomfortable setting that boundary. But you're willing to do it because you're willing to feel uncomfortable on purpose. Now, the other thing that's probably going to be going on in your brain is you really don't want to set that boundary because you love those treats too, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I tell my mom.
Yeah.
I say, Mom, you can't make this for me anymore because I can't eat it. And then she says, okay, well, I won't make it. And then I say, well, but if you do.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's such a battle.
Yeah. So your brain is going to be like, oh, but that's my hit. That's my hit. What do you mean? No more hits. So
yeah, and I also feel love from my mom too. So that's, that's the thing. So, we haven't developed anything else that we share and, that's like that. And so until that happens, that's where I feel connected to her. She feels connected to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes maybe it's time to think about another way.
I know. Yeah. It's a conversation that needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one example of how feeling uncomfortable on purpose can really serve you. Here's another example. Let's say you're out at a restaurant with friends and everyone's ordering drinks and dessert. This happens to me all the time. And you want to be healthy. So you're ordering protein and vegetables and you're avoiding the toxic food. This actually just happened to me the other night. But you feel uncomfortable and you feel left out. And you're wondering if they're judging you for being, as my daughter would say, extra. She's always saying that. You think you're better than us? Exactly. Why are you so extra all the time, Mom? I get that a lot. So this is just yet another time where you're going to feel uncomfortable. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay. Now, one of my mentors says discomfort is the price of our dreams. We can achieve our dreams if we're willing to be uncomfortable on purpose. If we're willing, I know. If we're willing to not eat and feel our emotions instead, we can get tremendous insight into what makes us tick. I remember one time when I felt really, really uncomfortable. I had a walk-in pantry at the time. And so I was going into this walk-in pantry and I would be rooting around in there looking for something to eat to soothe my restlessness. And at the time I was working with an eating disorder specialist. Have I told you this story? I think I have.
Maybe.
Yeah. I was working with an eating disorder specialist and she said, whenever I feel restless and I'm in the pantry, I should get a piece of paper and a pen and I should just start writing. And that's what I did. I just started writing. And it took me no time at all to identify the feeling that I was feeling. It wasn't restlessness. It was jealousy.
What?
I thought I was just restless. It was jealousy. I was shocked. I was really shocked. I mean, I can't imagine, like me, jealous? No. It turns out I was jealous of women who were working outside the home. And at the time I was caring for school-age kids. But I had all this time while they were in school and I was bored. And I was being called to get back to work. And that was what my jealousy was telling me. It was an urging, right? Now, had I kept eating, I would never have known this. And who knows how many years I should have been back to work, but I wasn't because I was eating instead. It wasn't until I actually started stopped eating and started listening. So my willingness to feel that discomfort and not eat had big payoffs because I was able to finally hear what I was being called into.
Yeah, that's so intense.
I know.
Jeez,
It's crazy, isn't
the
it?
journaling thing keeps coming up
Yeah.
with my counselor. Would you talk about it? My friends keep talking about it. This there's something to be said for this journaling thing that I haven't done yet. I did buy a journal, but I haven't been really writing in it because I kind of have a hard time, like, knowing when, like, when do you do this? Like, what, like, what prompts it? But that you just totally made me realize that when I go to the, the refrigerator for no reason, right after I've eaten dinner, and I'm going there to find something to whatever snack on, then I need to, that's the time that I need to start writing on, like, why I'm doing that. That's intense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting thing is, what you do is you just start writing and you write down all the thoughts that are swirling around in your head. And it's so interesting because once they're out of your brain and onto a piece of paper, you can actually look at them. It's like taking all the stuff out of your closet. Like, let's say you decided you want to clear out your closet. You take all the stuff out of your closet and you pick each piece of it up one by one and say, do I want to keep this or not? Right?
Okay. So
you can do that with your thoughts too. You can write your thoughts down and find out where they're leading you and ask yourself, do I want to keep this thought or not?
Does this have anything to do with, like, is this like similar to like mindfulness meditation type of stuff where you're trying to be like in the moment and feel like journal what you're actually feeling at the time?
Well, when I think of mindfulness meditation, I think of just listening to my breathing, like being really, really mindful of my breathing, where there are some like walking meditations where you're very, very mindful of each step that you're taking, where you're just like completely and totally in the present moment. This I would consider to be different. This I would say when you're sitting down and you're writing down all the thoughts that are in your brain and you're putting them on a piece of paper so that you can look at them objectively, right? That's the goal here. Like what?
Yeah, that's important because, like I said, when people, me, I know when I go for, the chips or the cookies or whatever, I do that. Like, I could eat a whole bag of chips mindlessly and not even realize like that I did it.
Yeah. Me too.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. It's so easy. So easy. So I would encourage all of us, listen, don't be afraid of your negative emotions because there's gold in them. There's gold. So who's ready to be uncomfortable on purpose? If you are listening to this podcast, raise your hand if you are ready to be uncomfortable on purpose. It's not easy, but it's probably easier than you think it's going to be. But I would also say that you need some guidance and you need some help and some coaching around this. So I would encourage you to join our membership and get the help that you need because we can help you do just that. Our membership starts with the 30-day Done with Dieting Bootcamp. So you just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com and we'll help you get started. Anything else, Marchelle?
No, this 30-day Done with Dieting Bootcamp, this is I just can't say enough about it. Because
well,
I know what it covers and I know how this is not a diet plan. This is not
it's
like anything that you've ever done before. This is science and psychology and support and help. I mean, everything mixed together that you could possibly need to help you change for good, for a long journey, not for 30 days, not for 90 days. I see it all the time in the clinic where people come and of course, like at first, some of them will come for a few months and then they sort of fall off like, okay, well, I lost something but there's just something missing, and then they come back. And I'm sure that's what must have prompted you to start creating the journey beyond weight loss is what I call it, because you've got to see like this is, there's so much more to this than just what you're going to choose to eat or not eat.
Exactly.
And, man, I'm ready to feel uncomfortable.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I've been working with you for 4 years, and I've been doing this on and off. But it's still a journey for me because I'm still learning like so much stuff about myself and what a toxic relationship that I have with food, and not just food. For me, it's alcohol, or for me, it's, being angry, or like it's, shopping last week, or, all these things of not wanting to feel uncomfortable and trying to stuff things down. And it's just not working for me anymore. Yeah. And it's affecting my life in a way that, I really got to make some changes. And I feel really fortunate to be a part of this. And I hope that if anybody else out there is listening to this and struggling, that they...
You, our listener, are not alone because we get it. We absolutely get it. And we want to help you not only give up using food as a buffer, but learn how to feel your emotions so that you don't have to worry about ending up into alcohol or into gambling or into over shopping or all of these other buffers. It's amazing what happens when you really learn how to love yourself and take yourself seriously and take such good care of yourself.
And what I think is really cool about this 30-day Done with Dieting Bootcamp is you offer people free counseling sessions along with this program. So, you get some one-on-one.
Every week you get a 20-minute coaching session with me or one of the other coaches. Yeah.
That is awesome. That's absolutely
and the group coaching too.
Because if anybody knows how hard right now it is to get a counselor in,
good
Washington,
point.
we're in Washington State. We have a mental health crisis going on in America since the pandemic. And it is very, very hard to find the support that you need or to find somebody to talk to. Yeah. And so you not only get to, focus on the eating part of this and, trying to lose fat, but you get this counseling and you get, it's just awesome.
Well, it's coaching it's coaching. It's not counseling per se. So it's not a psychotherapy session. It is a coaching session.
What's the difference between coaching and counseling then?
Coaching, we help you figure out where you are and we help you figure out where you want to go and we help you figure out how to get to where you want to go from where you are.
Okay, even better. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So get some coaching one-on-one. I love it.
One-on-one coaching. Yeah. Once a week. All right.
All right.
Okay. I hope to see you all in the Done with Dieting Bootcamp and our Empowered Weight Loss membership. We will see you all next week. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.